You know that creepy old house at the end of the street? Ever wonder why it really gives you the chills? Or why the very idea of a ghost town is just so unsettling? We always think it's about, ghosts or some monster hiding in the shadows, but what if the real terror isn't about what's in the place, but about the place itself just fading away? Okay, let's get into it and explore the real geography of fear.
Yeah, we all know this one, right? It's a total classic in horror. The quiet, sleepy little town that's hiding some truly dark secret. I mean, from Haddonfield and Halloween to the absolute backwoods nightmare of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, horror just loves to remind us that isolation can breed some serious monsters. But really, this is just scratching the surface of a much deeper, much more modern kind of fear.
So let's push past those familiar tropes and dive into a really fascinating concept that geographers and horror experts have been digging into. It's an idea that, honestly, explains why so many modern horror stories feel so deeply, deeply wrong, even when there's not a single ghost in sight.
Just think about that for a second. The most terrifying thing isn't a place that's full of danger, but the loss of a place. That feeling, that pit in your stomach when the ground starts shifting beneath your feet and all the landmarks that define your world start to get blurry or meaningless or they're just gone, that's where the real anxiety is hiding.
And this right here is the key word, placelessness. It's not an empty field or a vacant lot. It's a feeling. It's that weird, unsettling vibe you get when you're in an airport that looks exactly like every other airport, or a strip mall that could be literally anywhere. It's when a place that should feel special and familiar just starts to feel generic, interchangeable, and kinda unstable.
To really get a grip on this, let's take this idea of placelessness and apply it to the one location that should be its polar opposite, our home. You know, the safest, most personal, most meaningful place we have. So some geographers have broken this down, and they say these 7 things are what turn a physical house into a real, meaningful home. It's not just the shelter, the roof and walls. It's the hearth, that feeling of warmth and safety. It's the heart, the emotional center of your life. It's privacy, right? The ability to have your own space. And it's where you find your roots, your identity, your purpose, all connected through your family. All these layers together create the ultimate sense of belonging.
And boom. That's it. That's the playbook for every haunted house story or home invasion movie ever made. Just think about Halloween. Michael Myers doesn't just break into a house, he violates the very idea of shelter. He completely shatters your sense of privacy and safety. The whole idea of the warm, comforting hearth is corrupted. The horror comes from inside the house, and it just dismantles every single one of those 7 things. Until the home isn't a home anymore, it's just a terrifying, placeless box.
This quote just nails it. That comforting, cozy phrase from The Wizard of Oz gets twisted into something absolutely terrifying. When your home has been invaded, corrupted, and totally stripped of its meaning, the realization that there is no place like home becomes this horrible cry of despair. There's literally nowhere left for you to go.
But here's the thing, this destruction of place isn't just something we see in scary movies. Nope, it happens in the real world too, when entire communities are just erased from the map. So let's look at a few really powerful examples. The ghost towns of Oregon.
Wow, I mean, what a perfect, powerful definition. A ghost town isn't just empty. Its entire purpose, its very identity has vanished. It has fundamentally lost its reason for being, which makes it the ultimate example of a place that has become truly placeless.
And just look at these real-world cases. These aren't your typical old Western towns where the gold just ran out. Bay Ocean was a whole resort town that was literally swallowed by the Pacific Ocean. Blalock and Robinette were drowned on purpose by dam projects, progress just wiping the past off the map. But the most shocking story of them all has got to be Vanport.
The story of Vanport is just staggering. It was built fast, out of necessity, during World War II. It was a bustling, instant city. And then, on one Sunday afternoon in 1948, a dike broke. In a matter of hours, not days, not weeks, but hours, an entire city was completely wiped off the face of the earth.
18,000 people. Just think about that. One moment they had homes, they had schools, a whole community. The next, it was all gone, just submerged under the Columbia River. This was a real-life, instant ghost town, a place that became placeless not over decades, but in a single afternoon.
So what's the thread that ties the fictional horror of a haunted house to the very real tragedy of a place like Vanport? Well, the answer really lies in our relationship with the past and this feeling we call nostalgia. You know, we tend to think of the past through this nostalgic lens, like it was a simpler, better time we're always longing for. It's a safe, curated memory. But horror sees it completely differently. In a horror story, the past isn't some comforting memory, it's an active, angry force that erupts into the present to tear it apart. The ghost in the attic? That's the intrusive past. The forgotten crime a town was built on? That's the intrusive past, violently demanding to be seen.
And in modern horror, this gets a whole new twist thanks to globalization. Take a look at this shot from the movie Hostel. This isn't some old Gothic castle. It's a ruined industrial building somewhere in Eastern Europe. It's what you might call a non-place. It's anonymous. It's been stripped of any local character. It's this terrifying void created by economic forces that leave these empty husks all over the globe. It's a space where people are totally disconnected from home, from culture, from safety. This right here is the visual language of placelessness.
Okay, so let's bring it all home. Why do haunted houses, ghost towns, and these industrial hellscapes, why do they tap into such a deep and primal fear in us?
At the end of the day, it's this simple. When we're afraid of a haunted place, we're not just afraid of a ghost. We are terrified of our own world becoming unrecognizable. We're afraid of losing our sense of place, our sense of home, our very identity.
These stories hit so hard because they're basically holding up a mirror to the anxieties we're all feeling. I mean, we live in a world that is changing faster than ever. We worry about our favorite local spots being replaced by generic chain stores, about losing touch with our own history, and about just how fragile our sense of home and community really is. Horror stories about placelessness, they're really stories about us.
And that kind of leaves us with one final thought to chew on. If the biggest horror of all is the loss of place, then what are the places we're afraid of losing right now? Is it a local landmark, a childhood neighborhood, maybe even a sense of national identity? The ghosts that haunt our modern world might not be spirits in a hallway, but that creepy, creeping feeling of nowhere.